We didn't know if the Indians were human beings, we regarded them below our African slaves. True in your days, and a fact in our times. Look. What befell your ancestors was a matter of time. Stop making me feel guilty for what happened to them. Retrospectively, how I wish the king had refused you his support. Perhaps, our destiny would have been different. Man of the future, if I didn't conquer them, others would have. So, after they returned my mementos, the king called for me. He was on his way to Italy. I went to see him in Toledo. I showed him all that I had brought, including the Indians. I told him that I had discovered an empire greater than that of the Aztecs, and so far at no expense to the crown. I explained him that what I needed was his backing, and the rewards in gold and lands would be more than he could ever expect. Was it that easy to convince him? No. But when I told him of all I went through to reach the Inca Empire, he realized of my single-mindedness in this endeavor. I was twice his age, but he understood soldiers of fortune like me. When Pedro de Candia spoke of Tums, the king was in awe by all of his vivid descriptions. The Greek could talk. And Carlos V was not going to retract from this venture. He ordered that the West Indies Enterprise start to draft the legal papers. The bureaucrats who were drafting the documents knew the exact coordinates to where I was supposed to govern. They had information from the Portuguese and the Pope, who were well acquainted with the Atlantic side of the southern continent. With our crude maps their cartographers made sense of our discovery, but the notaries took their time. Meanwhile, I was out of money and that did not concern them. Nevertheless, I made sure that everything was documented. You see, Don Francisco, reading and writing are just tools. You checked all your possibilities from intuition alone. Unfortunately, there was no one to talk on behalf of the Indians. Is someone speaking for them in your times? 500 years later nobody is, and if they do, no one is listening. You should be fighting for their cause, instead of disturbing my bones. That is why I am encountering your soul. Tell me the concessions that you procured from the capitulation. Oh, yes. After my dealing in the courts I was named adelantado, the only one who could advance and conquer Peru, and be its governor with a salary of 725,000 maravedis. With those powers invested in me, I could assign lands with Indians to anyone I wished to give to. In other words, I was given the duties of a viceroy. I also received other titles, but the Order of Santiago is what I wanted the most. With that investiture, I became part of the royalty. Were you speaking for your partners? Luque and Almagro received lesser denominations. In time that brought me problems with Almagro, who distrusted me for the rest of our lives. What did your partners and the others get? Diego de Almagro would be the mayor of Tums with a salary of 300,000 maravedis, and his mestizo son an hidalgo. Hernando de Luque was named protector of the Indians with a salary of 1,000 ducados. Pedro de Candia was given the duties of commander of the artillery of Peru, and he could manufacture the arms needed to kill the Indians. Bartolomé Ruiz was given the order of Grand Pilot of the Southern Seas. The 13 of El Gallo were recognized as gentlemen of the Golden Spur. We all got titles, but the money that we needed had to be obtained in the New World. Don Francisco, I am confused about your nomination of adelantado. Did that mean that you could conquer and govern past the Inca Empire, or was there a limit? As an adelantado, I was given the rights to conquer from Rio Santiago, in Ecuador, to Chincha, in Peru, a distance of approximately 250 leagues or 875 miles. So you had a limit as to how far you could conquer. But after the conquest you did not want to honor that clause of the capitulation, and you had to battle against Almagro. We didn't know exactly where Cuzco was situated in relation to Chincha, and Cuzco is where all the gold was. Let me tell you of the other accolades that I received. More titles, Don Francisco. KVA. The most important of all, my coat of arms, that initially portrayed the solitude of the oceans with 2 galleons sailing to Tums. As the conquest continued, they added an Inca with shackles around his neck with his hands on top of 2 coffers of gold surrounded by 7 Indians chained together from their necks. In time, they would also add a stone fortress depicting the great city of Cuzco. Then, the coat of arms of Carlos V and the little seal of the Pizarros with its lone pine tree supported by 2 bears. With that great seal, I was accepted as a member of my family, or better yet, they were part of my nobility. Our descendants would be known as the Marquises de la Conquista. Don Francisco, to depict our people in fetters is the most disgraceful act that could have ever happened to your nation, and it shows the essence of what you were. Those degrading symbols should disappear from the face of the earth. Condor Sol, what they engraved in my coat of arms are the same acts that are still being perpetrated by your own people. That is true. However, I cannot believe that Almagro was given the guardianship of Tums, since it was not even taken. He wanted the title of Adelantado, so he could continue on his own conquests after the limits of your governorship. The money that he was going to receive was probably less than what he put of his own for the expedition. Was he happy? Almagro was a very difficult man. In this case, he had all the reasons to be. It was not within my power to do differently. The crown didn't want to give the leadership to 2 captains. How about Bartolomé Ruiz? He was named the Admiral of the Southern Seas, a title that he earned on his own right. That is all he got? No. He would be an alderman of the city of Tums with a yearly salary of 75,000 maravedis, and to his son they gave him the high position of public notary. And how about Luque? He was given close to nothing. Oh. No, he would be well endowed with the bishopric of Tums if the Pope approved. Meanwhile, he was named the protector of the Indians. Don Francisco. The fate of the Indians could have been better without any protectors. KVA, Indiano. Don't pick on the priests. They are just men who want to do good, but some are also sinners like any of us. We are talking of the extermination of human beings, and not of sinners. Condor Sol, the annihilation of the Indians was the product of war. You call that war? Innocent and backward people as your adversaries? Look. The Incas were warriors. If they had won, they would have minced us to pieces. They were not the retarded society that you seem to imply. I am surprised that you, as one of them, are so deprecating of your own people. So, with the capitulation you all obtained titles. But the sovereignty of the Incas was not even discussed. Mierda. We were not going to sign pacts or create marriages among princes of Europe with any Indian noble. Stop thinking of inconceivable unions, it was the will of God.